that the vast majority of people who are incels are probably similar to me when they're just very risk averse when it comes to like approaching and talking to people. They don't want some random guy walking up to them and bothering them and things like that. My case is a little bit unique because I actually didn't care too much about rejection. I know a lot of people do, but even still, I'm going to have similar problems because I was not talking myself out of going up to these people. And it just resulted in me not getting experience, me not even trying. And then in many of these cases, I would later figure out these people wanted me to talk to them. These people wanted me to do these things.
I have my own struggles with like understanding relationships and closing and stuff like that with girls. But I just kind of power through it. But I remember the first time I tried shit I learned from like the game at like a nightclub. You know what I'm saying? And it worked. Right? Yeah. Like it worked. I got numbers from that night. I remember that.
Yeah, it's basically like a lot of those people would just like tell you, like, you know, go out, socialize, meet people, which is again like good, like healthy thing. Back in my mind, it felt like a little bit weird and almost predatory in a sense because you're supposed to be focusing on like meeting women and like, you know, quote unquote hitting on women, but part of my mind was just like, well, if I was like really a sociable person, like I would interact with like anybody. I'd just be out with some buddies, having a good time, and like you mingle, and like that's how people normally meet people. And like really, like when you're out in a social environment, you can literally talk to anybody. It's just about having sort of like a social awareness or acuteness and like knowing how to interact and, you know, deal with inevitable rejection. Point I was getting to earlier, it's like I was talking to one of the coaches, and basically he says like 90% of the people who get into sort of like seduction or PUA get out of it. Like there's a big turnover. It's like 90% get out of it in a year because they meet somebody or they learn how to, you know, get good with women, and like they learn like how to, you know, properly socialize.
Zatzman and Irrelevant, who I talked to for this video, might be examples of people that you might consider users, although I don't think either was necessarily a member of the manosphere. Both dealt with challenges socializing, dealt with challenges in their romantic experiences, and found the world of men's self-help as a recourse. I even have admitted to reading the game back in the early 2000s after a bad breakup. We often stereotype and malign men's self-help, and rightfully so. There are numerous pitfalls to where this stuff leads. We also stereotype the type of men who struggle socially or with intimacy as overweight basement dwellers with poor hygiene, but this just isn't accurate. If you go peruse any incel or manosphere-related message board where guys want you to rate them, you'll see a lot of guys that aren't so bad looking, at least to the point where their looks are the key problem that they're facing in improving their dating life. But it's hard to get them to see that, which usually puts them in our second category. The second category is what I call the truthers. They come to the manosphere with less explicit goals. Sometimes they just wander into it from other anti-feminist, anti-SJW spaces or content creators. Sometimes they start out with a goal the same as a user might, but end up sticking around, possibly because they can't find or activate on the resources that they might find in that earlier self-help section, which forces them to dive in deeper to explain what they're dealing with. This has the byproduct of making them build a stronger affinity toward the rhetoric and the community they engage with. Community is a highly underrated aspect of the manosphere that I'll talk about a bit later, but these guys stay a little longer, which means it often takes a whole lot more effort to change and pull them out. Positive developments such as a new success or a new community or a new friend group or some type of other intervention might pull them out. Also, over time, they might recognize that the toxic rage cycle that the manosphere pulls them into is probably not good for them. They get disillusioned with the variety of internal inconsistencies and the constant infighting and the public derision for associating with such a toxic group and leave out of boredom or shame. This is the group that might even be reachable through a YouTube video or even a debate that exposes them to better ways of thinking about their issues and hopefully better ways of dealing with them. This group is probably the largest or maybe the most visible part of this community and probably spends up to a year or more in the community. And then lastly and most concerningly is the lifers. This is basically the previous group except much, much worse. Their vulnerability to manosphere rhetoric is stronger or enhanced by other factors such as their appearance, difficulties improving their economic or social standing, and possibly even genuine behavioral or mental disabilities, along with the absence of forces and resources that will get them out. They don't have a strong support system that can see what they're going through and figure out a way to get them to the other side. They're mostly just stuck in whatever environment they're in. For these folks, they begin to really identify with the rhetoric and accept it as their truth and move with it in perpetuity, attaching themselves to the community because that community might be the only one that they actually have access to. Considering that the modern manosphere is only 10 to 15 years old, it's hard to say just how long lifers stay in the manosphere. There's a prominent member of the Black manosphere who's in his 70s. Rollo Tomasi and Coach Greg Adams and others are men who are clearly in their 50s, and they have fans that have been with them since day one, way back in the mid-2000s. So who knows how long lifers actually manosphere rhetoric is stronger or enhanced by other factors such as their appearance, difficulties improving their economic or social standing, and possibly even genuine behavioral or mental disabilities, along with the absence of forces and resources that will get them out. They don't have a strong support system that can see what they're going through and figure out a way to get them to the other side. They're mostly just stuck in whatever environment they're in. For these folks, they begin to really identify with the rhetoric and accept it as their truth and move with it in perpetuity, attaching themselves to the community because that community might be the only one that they actually have access to. Considering that the modern manosphere is only 10 to 15 years old, it's hard to say just how long lifers stay in the manosphere. There's a prominent member of the Black manosphere who's in his 70s. Rollo Tomasi and Coach Greg Adams and others are men who are clearly in their 50s, and they have fans that have been with them since day one, way back in the mid-2000s. So who knows how long lifers actually stick around?
Knows how long lifers
Typology is
actually
something
stick
that I
around.
mostly figured out before doing my little survey based off my academic research and my experience observing this community. So how did these hypotheses line up with my bootleg research? My survey had nearly 2,000 responses, which is a really good sample regardless of the quality of the questions. My first question was, what age did you first encounter the manosphere? To which the vast majority, over 40% of the respondents, said that it was in their teenage years between 13 and 17, with the next largest group being 18 to 23. Those groups together made up 70% of the respondents. And of course, this should have been expected considering the population that has access to YouTube and Reddit to begin with. Again, not a perfect survey. Most respondents spent 1 to 2 years consuming manosphere content, and around 70% of the respondents spent 2 years or less consuming the content. Meaning that, as I predicted, most people don't actually spend a lot of time in the manosphere, which makes a lot of sense when you think about the way that manosphere content works and how it often works in cycles. The manosphere
This guy hasn't seen Cross Summit yet.
10 years ago are not big figures today, and the ones that are big figures today won't be big figures 10 years from now. According to my survey, less than 10% of manosphere consumers spend more than 5 years consuming this content and participating in manosphere spaces. So far, my prior research and this survey kind of line up. In fact, most of this survey validated what I assumed up until this point. I had questions about why you came, and it showed that it was about, improving masculinity and learning how to attract women. The most popular space that the respondents participated in was red pill spaces. There were a lot of responses connected to negative views about women. Again, this survey isn't up to academic standards, but I'm confident that any of you enterprising gender studies folks watching, if you wanted to do something like this for a master's thesis, you probably find similar results. That said, the survey revealed something that I wasn't expecting, that I didn't really think about that population of truthers or maybe lifers, that if in any way accurate, is really horrifying in its ramifications. What I found in my data is that the manosphere seems to have the strongest, most lasting hold on boys who encounter it at a younger age. In analyzing the study, there's a clear pattern that shows that the older an individual was when they first encountered the manosphere, the shorter their length of participation is. And again, this corresponds with my earlier argument, but that also has a really scary counterpoint, which is that as the age of the first encounter with the manosphere goes down, the amount of time they spend associating and consuming this content goes up. When I isolate for those who encountered the manosphere at 12 years or younger, the amount of respondents that spend 5 years or more consuming manosphere content triples, which means that there are young men in this survey that went through most of puberty and are entering into young adulthood whose entire understanding of masculinity and manhood is informed by the manosphere. They have no experience of being even just pubescent boys without having Andrew Tate type shit in the back of their head. More disturbingly, though slightly less significant in the data, is that participation in those more concerning and toxic areas of the manosphere, such as incel and black pill spaces, also has a small but noticeable increase the younger the person was when they first encountered the manosphere. So there are young men identifying with incel and black pill ideology that literally haven't had time to even try to date. I've been racking my brain to try to make sense of this, and to be clear, there's some reasonable explanations. For one, this is a small part of the sample size.
Ha, I got a synchro.
I think 200 respondents encountered the manosphere before the age of 12, and that always will skew the way data looks. And this question in and of itself might have had the unintended effect of identifying the most extreme cases. Still, even if these are outlier cases, they still exist, and extrapolated to the greater population, we're talking about a lot of young boys being targeted and harmed by the manosphere at a very early age, and harmed in profound ways that we really don't even understand yet. When you think about how YouTube and social media works, this is how it always works. It makes sense that there would be a very young population encountering this content, because this content is mostly there for them. I think sometimes we
This guy not know I can absorb motherfuckers?
The manosphere itself is, although it's pretty damn awful, so much of it is, you know, bullshit, weird guys, insular communities, and maybe a handful of insecure dudes that are just trying to figure out how to talk to girls better. It's not ideal, but considering the grand scope of things, those elements are not going to have such an awful impact on society as a whole or those particular individuals. But if you're encountering this stuff at 12, 13, 14 years old, while your literal brain chemistry is still developing, and you're seemingly more likely to involve yourself in spaces with more extreme and dire rhetoric,
Can you please go already?
Scary. That should really bother us all. That's
I guess I'll just keep watching this
right now that there's no protection from, let alone the rest of the people, specifically young girls and eventually older women that are going to be in contact with these boys. And the thing I really want to hone in on from this is that all of these manosphere red pill channels know that their biggest and most reliable consumers are children, little boys.
God damn, they're grooming little boys.
Their metrics. We can see it from how their followers behave.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Funny. And so many of the interactions they have with their fans, it's always little ass boys that they're drowning with this misogynistic rhetoric. Now, I'm extrapolating this from my own imperfect survey, but I also found one paper that discussed narratives from incel red pill exit, and this study discussed numerous respondents who were
Imagine listening to Sneeko as a kid, bro. You grew up on Sneeko of all people. Oh man, he was your role model.
The survey, not the age in which they were actually consuming the content, which probably could tell you that they were probably consuming it much earlier. But even just the
ADL, okay, that's where I zoned out of the video. You had the ADL. Okay, but
younger children, and we know that this is where much of this content lives.
Hey guys, today I'm about to show you guys how to have a super base.
Taking it out of the manosphere content creator economy and
can I please have you? Can you please just?
TikTok, Instagram, etc.
I am begging though to end your fucking turn.
And they know the type of content that is spreading on their sites.
Oh my god! Oh, what the fuck? That's illegal. This is a synchro tournament.
Rainbow flags in school classrooms. Yet in those same classrooms, there are young people watching Andrew Tate videos on TikTok, and nobody's saying a damn thing. The biggest groomers and dangers to our children and their well-being are giant tech companies and the proprietary and secretive algorithms that they use to target, capture, and hold young boys in.
Can I play the game? I believe. I just want to play. You take 10 years. Bro, I just want to play the fucking game. Oh shit, synchro absorption.
The psychological effect of like creating content this critical of the manosphere as a man in a way that
as a man
it follows the general trend of commentary YouTube where
that guy looks weird.
Fun of some weird shit you found.
He looks white and Asian at the same time.
For the men watching, but also for just playing
like he looks white from his face, but like his eyes just throw me off.
I am way more tempted to joke.
Like they're so tiny.
Be like, what the fuck is that guy saying? That engagement, it's incentivized, and I don't like regret it at all. But over time, I've been like, yeah, this the way.
Dude, can I fucking play the game?
Very much skews towards capital production over genuine art or genuine engagement
Ay,
with
ay.
these ideas in a political context.
This is a long
August
video, by
11th
the way.
and 12th, 2017, an estimated
Makes
600
sense.
white men collected in Charlottesville, Virginia for the Unite the Right rally.
Unite
The
the
rally was an openly white supremacist event organized by various white supremacist groups coming to protest the removal of a Confederate statue. It was met by counter-protesters and quickly spilled into violence, with multiple people being assaulted as well as one white supremacist driving his car into a crowd, severely injuring several people and killing Heather Heyer, a 32-year-old activist. This event shocked the nation somehow. Mind you, only 6 months prior, a president who openly courted the favor of white supremacists took
I don't know
office, so I
what
don't
to
know
do.
who would have thought.
Okay,
I'll
let's...
avoid harping too long on how surprising white supremacist activity seems to be with white people and focus on the fact that in the aftermath, a lot of fingers began pointing directly at YouTube. At this time, YouTube was a focal space for what came to be known as the AIN, or Alternative Influence Network, which was basically a loose network of alt-right and
I wish you could
anti-SJW
insult these guys like in
creators
Master
who
Duel.
often funneled their viewers and supporters into more radical and extreme belief systems, such as white supremacy.
Can I
creating fertile
play the
ground for growth
fucking game?
of the alt-right, which had
I
been in
just
effect
want to
for years
play.
prior.
What the
Some would say
fuck?
this was Gamergate, but I actually argue that the first evidence of the internet's
Gamergate.
ability to galvanize toxic
Not gonna lie, it's
extreme
kind of
behavior
cringe.
from disaffected groups of men.
Gamergate
started with
bad.
the hate campaign against Anita Sarkeesian.
She
in
deserved it, not gonna lie.
2011. So for at least 6 years, YouTube had allowed the growth and festering of various reactionary communities on their website with minimal pushback. With this revelation, YouTube faced a ton of scrutiny for their lax policies, and it resulted in what was
McLord
called the
Knight,
Pirate,
Astro
which was essentially
Mechanica.
a lot of advertisers
Mechanical.
announcing that they would leave the platform if YouTube didn't clean things up, which resulted in YouTube changing their policies on hate speech and information, along with a variety of
I
other
will end
things,
you.
which resulted in a lot
I
of
will end
YouTubers
you.
losing a lot of money
Kenji
very
Mufu.
suddenly.
This guy
Now, most of
sucks,
those
by the way.
YouTubers eventually recovered, but the core change was the fact that tons of your favorite anti-SJW creators saw their views drastically drop, and many of them greatly disappeared, and those who didn't disappear greatly altered their content, some even purporting to have somewhat switched sides in the aftermath.
Give me 1 second.
Either
I'm
way,
gonna
it's
text me.
important to understand that YouTube's policies did not suddenly bar the presence of hate speech. It just required it to be heavily censored, more like euphemized in order to maintain its presence, and made it harder for anything within that realm, well, some things within that realm, to get picked up by the algorithm. Still, the harmful rhetoric has always remained and has always been there. It's just more intellectualized, maybe a little bit more polite or polished, but it still serves the same purpose. So why hasn't YouTube done anything about this? The answer is pretty simple, because they haven't felt the need to. To be fair to them, to YouTube, where I do get my checks. How you guys doing? They are much better than what's happening on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, I mean, they got pulled into a federal hearing for a reason. And Twitter is basically World Star Hip Hop at this point. Like,
World
never
Star.
did I see fight in Faces
Dude,
of Death videos
I don't
on
think I'm
Twitter
gonna ever
until
play this
Elon
game.
took it over.
Like, it's
That
just like...
said, YouTube and
actually, I think I could use Penguin Decks here.
The manosphere tends to live, and YouTube is taking the
The
same
Penguin Decks
passive
are-
approach to the problem of the manosphere.
Inferno
that
Noble
they did
Knights,
to the
Emperor
AIM
Chopper.
5 years ago. Creators like Sneako and Fresh and Fit were removed or demonetized on YouTube, but it's hard to imagine that it was for their misogyny, because their misogyny had been going on for months or years.
Claw, just attack
before they were
place.
being
It says here, you
punished.
can
My
target
theory
one
is that
once
Sneako
per
was
turn. You can
actually
target one
being
synchro monster. Your
blackballed
opponent controls
because
group
of
target this
COVID
card.
denial.
It's called
Fresh and Fit
gain
was
attack equal to the
demonetized
combined
and
monsters
false
arc.
takedown flags on other creators.
Can you
I don't think
please
that
just
either of them were
attack,
punished for
please?
misogyny,
I
but
just
that would
want
mean
to...
that so many other
You know
creators
what?
would
I'm
be
going to
punished
destroy your
for it.
monster next
And
turn.
both of them were making big banks
Oh,
for
Roy.
themselves,
Alright, you
for
destroyed my
points,
monster.
and
Now I can
conversely,
activate
for
Mechlor
YouTube
Assembly.
up until those points.
Destroying this card.
So the obvious answer to why YouTube and other social media platforms allow this toxic
And then
content
it says
is
here...
money. While not as big as huge creators like Mr. Beast and his many clones, or your popular kids channels, unboxing, gaming channels, etc., the manosphere and related content is still big business for these social media platforms. And these social media
Like some of
platforms
Mechlor Emperor
understand that
skill, I'm
allowing
not going to be able to
themselves be
synchro
user-driven
absorb.
builds in an advantage to cultivate audiences in every
Why?
possible niche
Whatever.
of content
I
to
don't
make
care.
sure that they get a
Bitch.
piece of everything. So there's not just a left tube and a manosphere, there's also sports talk and book talk and barbecue talk and
Bro, what is
makeup
this
tutorials
guy
on YouTube and
blabbing
martial arts
about?
videos.
Like,
There's
what is he
tutorial
yapping
videos
about?
on YouTube with hundreds of
Skip.
or dating options by consuming this content on a regular basis, that this content is making them more angry.
Fuck, he knows that I feed off of him.
They're so wrapped up in it that they
God.
kind of can't stop without some type of intervention. And this is also a response I saw on the survey. But it's not just my bootleg survey. We saw this with Facebook.
I think I'm gonna lose this one.
QAnon. We see this with flat earthers. All of these alternative spaces and the way that social media drives
I don't have
those
that many
spaces
counters right
kind
now.
of builds upon the same mechanisms that
Why
I
are
know they
fucking
haven't
link
been
monsters
through,
allowed? This is
knowing they will
bullshit.
keep coming back to certain things if
Like,
they
this
make
is
us
so
feel a
fucking dumb,
specific
dude.
emotion.
Like,
But that's
really?
the
Link
consumption
monsters? You're
side,
gonna allow
because
link
if we're gonna
monsters
be
of all things?
honest, this
Oh, actually, I have an
content
idea.
is also addictive as a creator.
Every video we upload is especially for
I
me,
give up.
like
I just want-
trauma.
This
So
guy's
again,
telling me
like,
I hate
talk
Synchro so
about
much. Synchro Arrow is so
I talk
stupid. They can
about
never play the game.
anti-blackness,
Synchro's
I
the
talk
reason why you
about,
don't have. But that was the reason I never grew up in the fuck
abuse and
man.
stuff. The things that we talk about,
What is
especially
this
when you bring
brother
in the
talking
racial
about?
component, racism, gaming.
Let's keep going.
To cultivate, at least on YouTube, and I would argue still on TikTok and
Oh.
Instagram and on Twitter, than Manosphere people, because they are the most online, they're the most reliable,
They're more
and
chronically
they're the
online.
most easy to manipulate. It's the truth.
Who are already
I'm getting destroyed.
entrenched in the Manosphere side are probably more likely to kind of watch both, in the sense that both of them kind of get them riled up with like negative emotions, whereas I feel like people on the
have a
anti-Manosphere side find
idea.
watching that
Okay.
kind of content
Stressing.
almost as a pressure valve. Well, not the Manosphere
Oh,
side, like,
watching like
yeah.
this type. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
I-
that makes sense.
I think it ends up being a pressure valve for people to like release some frustration about it, but it isn't something that, you know, you come away from it being like, I am now more upset than I was before, and like
All right.
this righteous anger. And
Thank God I got this card, but
the same way, I think that if they
at
were to
the
go up to the
same
Manosphere side, they
time-
like click in, and then within 5 seconds they're like, oh no, like this is not what I come to content for.
It's yeah, I still get messages to this day from like mostly from men telling me that like they'd seen their friend like start to go down the rabbit hole, and they'd sent them my video, and that had like taken them out of that rabbit hole. And I've had like loads of lovely DMs, but obviously I've had the negative stuff as well. I had a lot of comments from people from the Manosphere, especially when it first came out as well. People trying to sort of debunk me, but not really doing much of a good job in the comments. But I think that what people mostly say is you haven't done your research, when like clearly I've looked up quite a lot of studies for this video. The main people that I was talking about in the video was his name, Rollo Tomasi.
give me a second. You have to wait for me.
He did a live stream not
wait for me.
longer
'Cause
after I put my video out, and
doing something.
he did a live stream where
Okay,
he was
there you go.
reacting to my video on his
All right.
channel, and that brought obviously a lot of traffic over to my video. When he did
Alright,
that.
so we're
But
gonna
yeah,
go
I
with.
mean, what you're gonna do? I don't really mind.
But it's not just us. There's also tons of mainstream media looking at the world
All right.
of incels and the manosphere. I think there was just a big expose on Vice or one of these other
Now I get
media
to
conglomerates
summon
that followed around a bunch of incels
Mechalord
and
Emperor
because
Skill to the field.
Humans, we have just this desire to peer into the
Alright.
world of people we think are odd. All that said, don't get
God
me wrong,
damn it,
though.
man! I can
This shit
do
gets
shit
tiresome,
together.
At least for us on the opposite end, because
Fuck
it
this
becomes
thing though.
tedious,
Hate it.
and at least for me, it feels kind of exploitative.
I don't know what else to do though.
This is why I only dabble in the subject every few videos. Same with foreign men. Noah has tapered off on his weird guy quest as well.
Dude, I don't know what to
Moon
do.
is the best of us. She
God damn, this guy's
made
gonna
one
fucking
video
cream
and
pie
said,
me next
"Alright,
round, isn't he?
That's it.
Ah.
I'm out on you, motherfucker." This was what Zatzman was struggling with himself. Zatzman could very easily, if he wanted to, keep making those types of videos and get a larger following, because even if he's not saying anything new, it would still boost him up a little bit to give him more options as to what he can make in the future. But if you go back and watch that video, Zatzman's talking about not wanting to be this crusader, but wanting to be a creator. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this shit literally pays the bills. But before you judge me
It
or
does
anyone
pay
else,
the bills.
let's think about the
I'm
actual
about to start my own Black Pill channel.
content, which is even more embarrassing.
Alright guys, welcome
Because
to
you
the
know
next
many
Black
of
Pill
them
channel
don't
where I'm going
actually
to talk about
believe what they're saying and making, but they keep
Soy Boy
feeding
bad.
their audience the same rage. It does not take much to notice that Just Pearly Things just says things that she knows will get her more clicks and clout, and that nothing of what she said is of any actual
This guy just
value
killed
to
me
her
already.
personal views or character as long
I'm
as it
gonna
keeps feeding her
die.
clout.
I mean, people, they lie all the time, but saying things that for their own lives aren't true. But I mean, ultimately it comes down to algorithmic incentivization, which is a thing we're all subject to. But like you said, it's there's a different tone when there's that sort of backing, which I definitely.
Give me a second.
I agree
I have
with
an
you
idea.
too, a little bit, Noah, because I think there's like early things who clearly is just saying the thing.
Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
it's really amusing. Shameless. And she's a Paris Morgan.
And it's so low effort as well. That's just the most annoying thing. The effort that
Woman
she
bad.
puts in to make the money that she's probably making is insane.
Like
She
Risa
doesn't
phone.
edit a thing. She'll sit there scrolling through her phone on a video. Doesn't even bother editing it out. But people
Brother, could I
sit there
just play?
drooling because she's saying the script.
Because that's the thirst of this community. But yeah, like it speaks to so it's really low effort. She's been debunked and owned and drugged so many times. Yet she persists. And she doesn't persist based on talent or effort. Like I give Andrew Tate a lot of credit for being talented. He could have.
Can I just die? Dude, fuck you.
Yeah.
Kill yourself, please. End your life. You fucking dick. Oh my god, literally fucking slit your throat, dude. Oh my god.
To his success.
Such a
Former clown prince of the Manosphere series has said on several occasions that he rode the Manosphere red pill wave these last few years because it was hot and blew him up. But despite all of this, the addicts in the Manosphere do not care. They will fall for the same exact trick within a week with the next guy that pops up. The only silver lining for that community is that every once in a while, one of them or one individual
Maybe.
starting upon that journey.
Dude,
sees what's
dude,
happening
the
and
fact that
says,
they
"Oh,
allowed
this is
fucking link
weird,
boxers as aids in
and
this.
I don't want to do this." And shout out to those guys. But the truly depraved individuals like your Andrew Tate or your devout truther weirdos like a Jordan Peterson
Jordan Peterson,
never
there's
waver
something
in
wrong
this
with
rhetoric
Jordan
and
Peterson.
continue to return to this cash cow. I will again remind you,
Jordan
all
Peterson's
Jordan
alright.
Peterson fans, shout out to Jordan Peterson's prior psychology career. I understand that it was beneficial to a
No,
lot of
fuck
people.
you, dude. I don't like
But
you.
most people who
No
know who Jordan
comboing
Peterson
allowed.
is now
Fuck you.
would not have known who he was had he not became this manosphere messiah. And
No,
figure.
bro, this guy is actually wrong here.
Argue
Not
with
gonna
your
lie, he's
mama,
kind of
Look
stupid.
at the research and the
No,
data
you're
and
kind
the
of, you're
timeline.
stupid, sorry.
That is facts.
That's not
the
fact.
manosphere is a giant engine that
Oh,
keeps the
that, yeah,
machine
but
running. And everyone gets to eat
Jordan
off the
Peterson
people who
was not
consume this
manosphere. He was a
content,
clinical
and most of them don't
psychologist,
get
bro.
shit. And
Did
there's
lectures
like a
on
cynical
psychology.
army that doesn't fucking
This guy
care
literally
and
does
wants
not
to
do his
make the
research.
full-on
This
Andrew
guy's an
Tate
idiot, not
video
gonna lie.
once every 2 months.
Maybe
It
some of the
is
things
so
he's saying is
easy,
okay, but this guy is
'cause
actually
I know it will do numbers.
dumb.
I will use that
Big
money
dumb.
to take my wife on vacation and
Take
a
your
picture
wife
of
on
us the
vacation,
beach
buddy.
and tag your favorite manosphere creator who hasn't been kissed in the last 6 years and say, "You made this possible." But there's also a bigger part of me that actually cares about the men and boys targeted and harmed by this.
Okay, this guy is like some
especially
truth,
now
but is also like
realizing
capping
how
a lot.
young they are and how much worse this content affects those young people. And that's a thing that I think still isn't talked about enough. That despite the amount of harm being done by this population, this is a population that
Die.
at its core is being exploited. And they're being exploited based on real areas of vulnerability
Screw
that
you,
are,
dude.
at least from my
I hate you.
perspective, hard to talk about.
Alright,
As
now I'm about to
someone who's
do
both victim and perpetrator, and that
MacLord,
makes it difficult
MacLord
to
only
fully engage the
obligato
totality
into
of the subject, 'cause you wanna leave room
upload
for the
and
victimhood in
perch.
play, but not so much room that any type of change or accountability for that.
I like this
behavior
guy's little
is pushed
panel
to
though.
the side.
Looks nice.
I have tremendous sympathy for people who are victims of incel
Kill
violence.
yourself, dude.
Absolutely
No, wait,
horrible.
ha,
I have
watch
tremendous
this.
sympathy
I can still activate the
for
fact, bitch.
people
I can
who
destroy this.
are-
Wait,
who are subject to incel vitriol. I mean, I'm someone who's received death threats from incels. We can talk about the manosphere, and we can talk about it as one chunk, but in terms of my feelings about them, right, I have much less sympathy.
I have also
for,
received many death threats
you
from
know, the
incels.
red-pilled
They're called
playboy
Twitter
who's
users.
using and abusing women deliberately through a bad divorce or have gotten their heart broken once or twice. And instead of handling it productively, they went.
Dude,
off
I want to
the rails.
fucking
Very different
slash
from
this guy's
incel, who
throat.
Is fundamentally, in many cases, just going to be a lonely man with a personality disorder.
Base. Part 4. feel like this guy had a good video. It's just
As I
like
said
slowly going
earlier,
downhill.
My Manosphere video series is something that I'm greatly known for, really proud of. But there is one glaring analytical flaw, flaw that I knew was there, but I didn't want to address because I didn't know if I could address it appropriately. And that flaw was that I did not touch on the difficult to engage with relationship between these toxic communities and the population, specifically the fact that a lot of this population is disproportionately neurodivergent. I knew going in from my own research that there was a clear relationship between the Manosphere and autism
chill on Twitter for now.
But I didn't know how or where to fit that in, and I didn't feel like I'd be able to talk about it properly, and that I might end up doing far more harm than good in the process, so I left it out.
MechLord Emperor Obligatus effect activates, allowing me to get one card. Bro, why would he fucking negate that card? Like, what's wrong with him? He's such a bitch, bro.
Pool, it wasn't necessarily my audience.
Such a bitch,
and
bro.
From here on out, I was like, to get that same pool, to get that same content creation, I can't do my normal ableism disability analysis. My real niche.
Oh my god, you look like you have. Just shut up! I hate this guy so much.
Ableism with speech disorder.
Oh my.
Crowd. For me, I think that speaks to an issue in the broader political left.
Alright, watch this. Activate MechLord Army Grenade. I can target one card face up, and then I can lower your attack by half.
I don't think people came there for the disability angle. They came there for the Manosphere stuff, you know?
First, this tragedy correctly points out all of the things I mentioned as risk factors for.
I'm gonna fucking shoot myself in the head 10 times.
Extensive engagement in online communities and internet consumption, higher risks for childhood trauma and abuse. All of these things are things
I don't know what you're talking about, but true.
On the autism spectrum are more likely to experience. And again, this is something I knew.
You're stupid, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
I was afraid should be pretty obvious. I didn't like the ramifications of implying that being autistic made you more prone to falling into the Manosphere, or more prone to
being autistic makes you more prone to everything, to be honest. You could argue that being autistic makes you more prone to being more addicted to video games or becoming transgender. Both are very true, by the way. Like, or speedrunning.
But no one should get a pass on the type of harm that people in the Manosphere participate in just because there's a high propensity for certain marginalized neurotypes to follow this ideology. Tons of people are autistic and don't become misogynist.
Yeah, just like tons of people are autistic and don't become transgender.
Not lean into misogyny as an identity. Further, research tells us that people with behavioral and mental disorders are far more likely to be victims of violence than to commit violence. We also know that the vast majority of violence is committed by neurotypical, normal people. So let's keep that in mind. Also, it's important to recognize how this particular data point serves as an ableist talking point.
Can I activate Mech Time Blast, please?
And the people behind it from criticism for what they're actually doing, but also to promote ideas around the need to further control and ostracize autism.
Build all of their cards.
Strange ways and
fuck you.
And potentially dangerous behavior. These arguments cannot be taken seriously. We cannot hand wave the men spewing violent rhetoric online just to say we need to control the neurodiverse population consuming it instead. This type of ideology infantilizes people on the spectrum, while at the same time absolving the bigger forces from their responsibility.
Yeah, we need to throw Andrew Tate in jail for being gay.
Please recognize that the goal is not to vilify neurodiverse people as uniquely dangerous, but to force us to consider the totality of what's happening here.
No, I'm gonna make a thumbnail where it's me arresting Andrew Tate.
If something doesn't happen, they're led to desire.
It's like me and Andrew Tate has like a dog tag, like a ball gag on it. That'd be awesome, actually.
Kind of conflict between their own.
I'm gonna start making like really provocative looking thumbnails.
All the systems to then lead them into desiring normativity, and then that leads them into, like, when you think about Manosphere content, when it comes to neurodiversity and the autistic community, I specifically.
Dude, what are you doing? Like, this dude, like he's like rubbing his face. Like, come on, do something to your face. I'll take acne.
Where it would be recommended by the algorithm.
It was mainstream when I was.
He's teaching PhD.
Yeah.
That was when
he's very smart. He does stuff on
a lot of times, autistic people don't necessarily have access to romance.
They don't have access. It's not an unlockable skill.
Male loneliness is raising, and that's always getting the focus, but also female loneliness is also raised as well.
It's like by 10.0.
It is a thing of
if a guy's lonely, then that means the girl must be lonely too. What the fuck, man? Who would have guessed that shit?
Always there. In what avenues?
I literally want to fucking grab this fucking shotgun and fucking shoot this guy with it, because
hold up. Manosphere, particularly incels, are more likely to be neurodiverse along with
I'm gonna activate infinite chaos. Chaos infinity.
2022 in the Journal of
Yes, summon your thing in defense mode, please. Or I will attack you and you will take shit.
For incels in comparison to the prevalence of this in the average male population as reported from the World Health Organization, which finds the prevalence of autism in less than 1% of the male population, while the sample from the study found that it was nearly 20% of their population. This is a near 2,000% increase as reported by this study. But this isn't the only study. Another study from 2022 postulated that the formal diagnosis for autism in the United States adults was 7% and found in their sample of incels a formal diagnosis rate of 18%.
Who answers to this shit, bro? Like, what's the sample rate? Like, do they just go on Reddit and they're like, oh yeah, these incels over here were saying that, yeah, they just don't do that, you know? Or do like, let's sign up like incels or some shit like that. Like, hey guys, fellow incels here, just sign this little survey.
And if you know anything about academia, you know that it takes
it's bullshit
5-6
sometimes
years for people to get working theories on how certain data presents phenomenon. So feel free, if you're seeing this in 2025 or 2026, to say,
yeah, I'll come comment shit right now. I don't need to go into the future.
Otherwise, that's fine. In reality, I kind of doubt that future findings will contradict these early findings, because if you consider what we know about autism and other behavioral and mental disorders and how society treats people with those challenges, you can see how
society treats me bad. End of story.
Is very much
oh my god, this guy got rid of Chaos Infinity. I want to fucking slap him.
Commonly for those individuals. First, this tragedy illustrates in his response.
Dude, I hate my mech word deck. It's so garbage.
Are more likely to have difficulty socializing, will spend more time online, and will have poor educational and economic outcomes, and thus.
Okay, that's it. I'm fucking looking up a mech lord guide. While I play this guy, I'm looking up a guide because this guy's fucking dumb.
Can train you to be normal as very desirable. You have to
mech
recognize
lord,
that these creators are purposely targeting vulnerable groups, whether autistic or not, and exploiting their pain and struggle in life to do further harm and exploit them. And when you see the rhetoric used in the manosphere, the constant hurling of ableist slurs, the coded language around consumers of manosphere content, it indicates that they know exactly who they're talking to and why they're talking to them that way.
Not only what you mentioned, but also that the manosphere and political right-wing content creation is leading them to a solution that lands them within bounds of normativity, which is the same lesson that they got from the nuclear family, which oftentimes tried to make them normal through ABA, applied behavioral analysis. The same lesson they got in special education, the same lesson they got in labor if they're unemployed or underemployed, and these overall cultural apparatus. So I think another appeal of this kind of manosphere thing is this idea of finally achieving the desire of achieving normativity in a sort of Lacanian sense, making dad happy, making the teacher happy, making your literal parents happy by finally achieving that normativity.
The manosphere offers the promise of better performance of masculinity, which to boys on
Dude,
the
this
spectrum
deck is so
is
hard.
the promise of being normal. But conversely, these boys are put in a negative feedback loop and really hooked on their own brain chemistry to an extent, in this cycle of hope and then anger and then rage and then shame and then maybe back to hope, and then berated for how their difficulties make it impossible for them to do better, and then maybe even encouraged to ostracize and target others within or outside of their groups as lol cows, worthy of targeting and derision, if not just to take the heat off of themselves. The whole thing is as depressingly awful as anything I've talked about on this channel. And it's hard because you have to remember that these are the same people with anime avatars in the comment section or on Twitter being—
Bro, why are you making fun of anime? Fuck you.
To everyone else. Like, I'm not losing track of that paradox. It's a delicate balance between trying to emphasize with the types of people who find themselves in the manosphere, but also recognizing that community, connection, affection, these are genuine human needs that we often underplay.
That's true.
How bad it is to not have them, and how many of us may not be any better in a different circumstance. Does not having those things excuse the behavior from these folks? Of course not.
It does.
But
Fuck you.
engaging with that part of the discourse should make us think more critically about how we respond to this phenomenon, or how quickly we.
This guy's like, I'm trying to help you guys, but
activity for some of these guys.
Well, you guys kind of suck.
Like, it kind of feels like looking back how it's prime like incel like category. But I never.
Damn, he's
really
prime.
I watched like
But then
YouTube.
he watched the YouTuber, then he just got laid like the next
It's
day.
not a incels have a point moment, but I mean, I think there's a real thing here of the need for.
Oh, it's
intimacy,
banned in
the need
TCG, I
for
think.
Physical, close and physical touch. For me, like being
feels
incredibly like
physical touch.
100% like vulnerable, like oh yeah, like the fact that I've never been, you know, like held or never been physically intimate with a woman.
Damn, this
like,
hurts
that
him.
sucks. I think there is a thing of like wanting that physical intimacy.
Where you can tell that hurts him. Like, it's,
the emotional, mental effects of not having access to physical intimacy, access to it, is
Suck,
kind of
right?
something that very much impacts my kind of self-esteem and impacts my
Based.
the way I view myself. I mean, because I've been like dealing with this recently to like where like, you know, I've just been in a romantic relationship through 24 years of age. Like at some point, because I look at yourself and like, shit, what's wrong with me? You know,
Everything.
And I, like say these like, you know, like you sort of think like, oh shit, am I unlovable or something?
Yes,
like
you are.
So like,
Sorry. Bye bye.
again, it starts to kind of border on kind of. I don't think it's incelish because there's no like real. Like,
No, that's a
violence, but like there's a real, I think, human need for intimacy, and one
Cringe.
people don't have access to that.
No.
And if the reaction to
You don't have
the
access to that.
expression of
Autistic bros, it's over.
This fucking sucks. Is fuck off incel. We're really doing a bad job here.
I think a lot of the people who are gravitating towards this toxic, misogynistic, hate-filled ideology are doing so in part because the building blocks of like being disenfranchised are there to begin with, and a lot of times we're not even bothering to address that. And some of the people are like technically an incel, but they're not buying into incel ideology yet. Part of what I'm getting at is like being sexless is terrible.
Based.
Like I feel like there's this like back and forth where we're like, oh, well, it's not that bad, or like we try and moralize it. And I know we've gone back and forth, but my stance is that is an essential part of a happy human life if you want it. Like obviously there's people who are aromantic.
It's essential, bro. There's no if but about it. It's essential.
Getting to have the kinds of relationships that you want in your life is part of being a thriving human being. Full stop.
But I'm still not done, because we still have to return to what makes it possible for these manosphere figures to do this gross grift upon this population. And that lays at the feet of YouTube and other big tech companies who are radicalizing young men. However, emerging research indicates that people aren't really radicalized by extremist content they encounter online. What seems to be more accurate is that people tend to have a preset ideological disposition and a limit, and will seek out content that reinforces those preset values. So more extreme content mostly just serves as a beacon for more extreme individuals to collect together and deepen their level of radicalization.
Our results show
Let's
that
radicalize, bros.
users who predominantly consume content produced by far-right channels does exist.
Okay,
And
come
while
on. You are.
corresponding far-left community
YUGIOH! Monster card!
And is not
exactly
increasing in size over the time period of our study.
Oh, cool.
Moreover, we find that on-platform consumption of far-right content correlates highly with off-platform consumption of similar content. That users are roughly twice as likely to arrive at a far-right video from some source other than a previous YouTube video, search, an external website, the homepage, and that far-right videos are more likely to be viewed towards the end of sessions or in longer sessions. While none of this evidence can rule out the recommendation system,
God damn, dude, I literally can't get anything.
Content, it is more consistent with users simply having a preference for the content they consume.
Facebook can both track what you're doing on platform, but they can also kind of get a sense of like, well, you know, where do you spend your money? What other types of social media platforms do you like to go on? What other types of websites do you enjoy? What kind of other content do you like? What age demographic do we think that you are? Even if, you know, on Facebook, you're not looking at manosphere content or something like that, it may end up being recommended to you based on what you do on other parts of the internet.
Dude, there's some of these cards
so
are not on here.
That contributes to these things more than people realize. It also influences, recommendation systems and the kind of content that you are preferentially shown by different platforms, which can also certainly contribute to the not necessarily the development of these bubbles, but feeding people into it.
Let's see the cards I have right now.
Because the content that you engage with on a day-to-day level on, say, Reddit, which does a lot more recommended content these days now, may not be political or manosphere or whatever, but you might do that on other platforms. And so now Reddit is starting to recommend that you go in that direction because they have this much more comprehensive picture of how you engage online than you realized at the time.
Individuals with more extreme beliefs find that community and connect to it, and the social support they find online catalyzes them to adopt even more extreme views. But it's not taking,
Eminem,
centered
white boys,
and turning them into ultra right-wing people. And some people aren't going to like to hear
right wing.
A lot of these people were shitty before they found Andrew Tate.
Damn.
They were looking for content that reinforces and celebrates their
people like stuff that they like,
and those
very
who are more moderate might dabble
very
in
deep
content,
my friend,
but typically won't dive deeper into said content. Now there's an argument to be made at where the lines are drawn between extreme content and normal content, because from what I can glean from the way these social media companies function, most of what we consider the manosphere is normal to them. But this still draws into question a few things. For one, it kind of undermines the whole idea of there being a battle for the future of boys happening
the boys
and across social media.
Bro, the cure for this is just being the boys, honestly. Just you're just one of the boys,
image of how powerful
you're gonna be one of the boys.
Simple as that. Even your most popular YouTubers are a drop in the bucket in terms of real
Marquise Brownlee
or specifically political and
mock-ass brownies
structures of power. A while
Markiplier,
back, who I mentioned earlier, had this
average Sneeko fan
moment where he ran into some of his average fans and they him the exact type of energy that he had been getting.
This man just threw a sneak diss at him, like his average fans.
And he defended himself by essentially pointing out the truth that
I'm joking, guys.
Boys like this have always existed, and their behavior isn't his fault. Initially, people wanted to reject this, but after thinking about it for a moment, he's right.
This guy's an idiot.
It's the ugly truth, but it's the truth. This doesn't absolve him for his behavior and contribution to the problem.
I mean,
but
these kids are impressionable.
Is these boys shouldn't have been watching Sneeko in the first place. Here's a phrase that I never thought I'd say. Where the fuck were their parents at? Why are these
nowhere, bro? Parents don't give a
10,
shit
11-year-old
anymore.
To watch Sneeko.
That's why all kids are shitheads nowadays.
Sneeko. The reason for that is the way boys are socialized, and I often say groomed into misogynistic and shitty behavior that starts locally. The fact that so many people,
bro, everybody's getting groomed online. If you're not getting groomed online, then
like solid plan for raising
you're on something
children.
else.
So when those boys make it online, the type of environment and energy and ideology that has been taught to them at home manifests well before they get on YouTube. YouTube just recommends them exactly what they were already going to find in the first place. So instead of looking at it as if Andrew Tate is corrupting America's youth, we have to face the fact that so much of our modern culture is already corrupting America's youth. And as a byproduct of this, they find Andrew Tate.
If the online and offline domains are ontologically inseparable,
they're
then
just like, Andrew Tate, we need
becomes
you.
A redundant concept. As Gill and colleagues argue, we should not fixate on a simple location of radicalization, but instead need to understand the drives.
Dude, this is so dumb. This is supposed to be a Silk Road tournament, but it ended up being a fucking Link Monster tournament, which is fucking bullshit, honestly.
Than purely looking at the affordances that the environment produced.
Yeah, it's just all fucking Link Monsters.
Tends to result in the
Dicks.
internet being given radicalizing.
Alright, can I play now? Thank you very much.
Which overlooks other important factors, such as vulnerability.
Oh, he's got the special edition one. Cool.
Or how online and offline factors combine.
Alright, to activate this code right here, MacLord Assembly, allowing me to get one code from my hand.
Targets and captures these boys and the neurotypical boys who are less developed in their understanding of masculinity.
The autistic kids will gravitate to Andrew Tate for whatever reason. That's what he's trying to say, by the way.
Not doing enough to address this or protect people from the behavior that happens in these spaces. But we have to also be clear that the core problem here is the way these boys are being raised apart from their online environment. What we're seeing right now with the manosphere is just another example of
I destroy my Mechlord Army Obligato so I can get 2 more Mechlord Army Masters from my deck to my hand.
Where the fear of not being on top isn't just a matter of ego and accolades or impressing all the girls, but literal life and death. In her book, The Bully Society, sociologist Jessie Klein has a chapter discussing the socioeconomic underpinnings of school shootings and explicitly ties into the difficulties of performing normative masculinity under capitalism.
The school shooters, for the most part, grew up in the 1980s or later. The rise in school shootings roughly coincides with the Reagan administration's restructuring of the American economic, political, and cultural landscape.
Come on, stop reading, you fucking slow-ass motherfucker. Okay, I don't care about capitalism anymore.
Women and say they're not able to vote, and that will help you improve your desirability.
Oh my god, kill yourself.
That's how hard it is to do this shit. But if I collected a bunch of OnlyFans models and got up here yelling and shouting ridiculous inflammatory things, yeah, that would suck in 12-year-olds. And that's why this content is designed the way it's designed. That's why Sneako's fans are 11 years old and not 30. And that's why YouTube
Imagine being groomed by Sneako.
All but openly court this type of content.
Like a bunch of kids are gonna be like, yeah, I was groomed by the fucking Twitter transgender. These guys are groomed by Sneako.
Being caught up in the manosphere is a red herring once you take this into consideration. It's not the neuroatypicalness that they deal with. It's the hegemonic drive that they have to imagine themselves as normal alpha males that pulls them in.
Andrew Tate is alpha, yeah.
And then here's the manosphere guy with the online course about being financially
Look at that man.
or learning about Bitcoin.
What kind of that's his alpha behavior right here. Chalkboard and the dry erasing marker. That's where all the alphas are made in this classroom.
And socialized boys. So what can be done about this? First and foremost, stop passively raising your sons. Stop telling your sons not to cry. Stop ignoring.
Oh my god, dude, this guy should just shut the fuck up.
Stop believing boys will be boys. Have complex, challenging conversations with them.
This guy was definitely fucking raised with a silver spoon.
Development, treat them like humans instead of future soldiers or breadwinners. Like, if you raise boys and you're around other people who raise boys, there's this hegemonically driven thing where you can tell everyone's fear is raising a weak man. And while
your father's disappointed in you, isn't he?
I feel like a lot of people haven't deconstructed how that actually works and what weak men really look like. Hint, hint, it's Sneako.
That's definitely Sneako, not gonna lie. Look at this dude, he looks like a fucking goblin.
I think if people understood what weakness really looked like in men, oh man, things would be so much fucking better. Who you think gonna win in the fight between Sneako and Foreman?
Right, you can't do that though.
Who has a wife and a kid?
True, but
I'm not gonna put Foreman out there to challenge Sneako to a fight. It's more work to raise a little boy to be shitty than
it's like who would win, The Rock or this guy?
Like most children,
you can't do that, bro. Like obviously it's gonna be the dude you fucking choose.
Little kids, babies, toddlers. Most of them are really fucking.
But Sneako's stupid though. Not gonna lie.
Boys
He's L.
To be shitty. And most people are training boys to be shitty because that's what they think real manhood looks like. That is literally how
real manhood looks like.
Him. Beyond that, though, for other parts of
okay, I'll take the L right here.
Need to start putting more pressure on these social media companies. They will change if it starts affecting their bottom line.
All right.
I know most
think I'm about to fucking take an L.
Have protracted harassment campaigns by anti-SJW manosphere creators in the same way that women were having 10 years ago. And if YouTube is smart enough, they won't wait for another tragedy to happen before they make changes. Quick editor's note here to introduce the fact that Jordan is going to bring up something called Section 30, which explains a significant reason why YouTube and other social media platforms do not do heavier
no way, dude.
Type of content that's on their platform.
I have an idea.
Essentially makes platforms not responsible.
Hello, boy.
They host. Who's basically gotten to this issue a million times. When you start,
I'll take deal.
"Quote unquote" editorial decisions about the content.
Dude, that would have worked if it fucking worked. Like
you start to become responsible, or you can become responsible. This is typically a legal thing, so like someone would have to like sue you for it, and it would have to be,
I'll be back.
in court that you are. But you can become.
He summons an attack mode monster
at one on your platform, which like no social media platform wants because it would be the death knell of that platform.
So yeah, this kind of shows us, why it's going to be down to putting the pressure on the companies from a monetary standpoint. The apocalypse happened because the overall attitudes towards YouTube had gotten really negative, and people that were spending money wanted certain quality assurances, and sadly that is kind of what will need to happen in order to fix the problem of this type of content. That said, the sad reality again is that YouTube is already 1,000 times better than TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter, so they need to feel the pressure too. I predicted months ago that when suburban moms found out about Andrew Tate, that this would lead to action, and not long after I said that, it happened, and then suddenly he was the platform. I don't know which one of y'all has access to all the white moms in the suburbs. I know a few of you do. Y'all need to go ahead and activate that population, or whatever population you can, to get some things going. Can we get Nancy Reagan back in the streets? Just for a second. Throat goat Nancy Reagan, let's go. If you have little brothers, nephews, cousins, make sure their parents are aware of this stuff early. Like not 12, 13 when they're going through puberty. As they're 7, 8, and 9, please inform the parents of your nephews and cousins what's happening in our online media so that they start addressing it now. And this is also why I don't think people like myself should stop making this type of anti-manosphere content, despite any criticisms that I may have voiced here. Because for one, we're kind of the canaries in the coal mine. We know what's happening well before it starts reaching out into the greater society, and we can set up case studies and information on what the problem is to point people to.
Dude, I keep losing every time.
To address it.
Like, I'm actually taking fucking L's.
One, we're fucking entertaining. We're good at what we do. But two, the audience watches us because it's useful to them to get that release valve, to get that.
Guy has some pretty hot takes.
Not everyone is on this bullshit, especially for other men like myself who fit the description of Manosphere Guy online, but are obviously saying something very different. It's valuable and important for them to hear and perceive.
He's the Manosphere?
It's a lot of pressure, and you all shouldn't hold us up on a pedestal for pointing this stuff out, but it's still a valuable role to be fulfilled. So let's please continue to go at their heads and collect your coins in the process. Lastly, I do still want to offer something for those being milked in this equation. The actual Manosphere consumers and those of you
consume Andrew Tate and pay for Hustlers University, you're retarded. It's free and you can look at it. There's like a link somewhere.
That's still really good.
It's kind of boring, not gonna lie.
First off, again, I want to remind you that if you're watching Manosphere content, its goal is to trap you in a negative feedback loop. As soon as you start seeing woman that gets owned videos coming out of your favorite creator, understand that is exactly what they're doing. It recognizes your insecurities and vulnerabilities and feeds into it. But I also understand that it's not just about breaking the loop. What we're also talking about is breaking with the community. That's something that, you know, if I do a future video, I'll deal with more, that needs to be more studied, because the reality is that the Manosphere has its message boards and followings, because that's where these people who have been disaffected by society collect together and connect with each other. And a lot of them, the key thing that keeps them in is the fear of being disconnected. If there's one thing
it's not called retweet, it's called repost.
Do better on,
so cringe.
It's in this regard that if we're serious,
oh my god, you're kidding me? Are you going to take it forever, dude? Can I just win now?
More spaces for some of these folks looking to retreat away from it. Now the challenge is,
just watch this guy.
You can't go from your white supremacist incel message board into the BreadTube Reddit. Like that should not happen. You will end up not having a good time, and the people that receive you there will not appreciate it. You're probably radioactive, and you're going to risk re-traumatizing and triggering other people. And much like radioactivity, it may take a bit for certain bad habits and ideologies to go away. So there needs to be more in-between spaces. That's something that Innuendo Studio said in the early Manosphere video that I don't know if I cut. If I didn't cut it, it'll go right here. But basically, he was like, we need to create like a midpoint between here, we've arrived at good politics, which also isn't true, but whatever. And the government should assign every virgin a girlfriend that's not allowed to vote. You should really be jumping, like, that's a big gap to fill. Being in communities both on and offline, but definitely offline, allows for more opportunities to fight off loneliness and develop meaningful bonds and build confidence. And if you're lucky, there may be women in
this guy's taking fucking forever.
There may even be romantic opportunity. That shouldn't be why you go. Consider that like bonus DLC, right? Is that
I don't know what
the kids
DLC
say.
is.
Bonus points if you find things offline to do. But like one last piece of data.
Oh yeah,
I
go
found
outside. Yeah,
is
that's
that
always
one
the
of the least
solution. Yes,
likely
touch
places
grass.
for people to encounter the manosphere is from an actual person in real life, like a peer or friend or family member. This stuff doesn't really exist outside of online spaces. So you can find space for yourself offline, which I know isn't easy and not possible for everyone, but if you can, you're probably going to be more likely to make progress. So that's my loving and gentle parenting type advice. And now here's Mac and Murphy with like some really explicit, specific stuff that's driven by research and data that, you know, should be helpful as well. So I was going to have Mac and Murphy give us some, you know, strong tips on improving your romantic outlook, but he dropped too many bars. He had way too much good stuff that I didn't want to kind of cut short here in this video. So you can find the interview that I have with him on a Signify podcast, which is a separate channel that I made a little while ago. I only have 3 episodes of the podcast.
The Alpha Male
This will be the
Podcast.
4th or 5th, depending on when this comes out. And yeah, you can get a lot of that stuff,
Look,
plus a lot more from that conversation from there. You should also follow Mac and Murphy on TikTok and wherever else he is. I think he does a really solid job of getting into this topic. If you are not interested,
Just not gonna lie, this video was kind of. It was alright, but it was kind of an L video.
Right. And I've told you a couple of times. There's plenty of stuff there for you, but you have to have the discernment to recognize the difference between people actually concerned with improving the challenges and needs of men and those looking to exploit you by getting you into rage cycles aimed at women. Understand that the algorithm is aware of which thing you are more inclined to do. Are you trying to upgrade your masculinity, or are you pissed that a girl called you ugly? Whichever thing is most prominent in your psyche, the algorithm will figure it out and treat you accordingly. So before you start searching for anything, you might want to start doing some self-searching away from the internet. But that's way above my pay grade, even though the Manosphere content will get me paid. Speaking of which, let's also talk about today's sponsor. So this video was one of my heavier undertakings. I started working on it probably last fall, setting up interviews, a lot of research, writing and rewriting.
Okay, I'm just gonna watch Low Tier God.
There's never been a white guy to over in life. That's why I don't trust black niggas, bro. That's why I don't trust rogues.
What? Dude, what?
You guys remember
this guy's...
why I just unfollowed that and everything. And just said that all together.
Man's is in something else.
Who here remembers that night?
I don't. Be it over.
Who here remembers that?
This guy's hoodie is like
Exactly.
so fucking ugly.
So that's
He
that's
looks like
one
a
of the
fucking.
reasons I stopped doing raids.
Feels Jamaican rags, but
because it was this one time. When was that? Wait, it wasn't last year. Was it 2022? I can't remember. Somebody schooled me. You said it was 9 months ago. You sure that it was 2023?
Are you sure it was 2023, boy?
So some of you guys in the chat remember, but one time I gave this a host when I got off stream.
Okay.
And so I don't remember how many viewers he had, but it was just like whatever viewers. I gave him a host or a raid. It was last summer or something.
Okay,
like that.
finally, my turn. Go.
Raided him. Boom. I was going on stream, raided him.
Infinity.
All the weirdos that watch my fucking stream, they always, if I raid anybody, they'll go into that person's stream and just be saying, they be doxing, saying hella shit, everything.
Oh, thank God.
Bro, this said, when I sent all those people there, this nigga literally was just like, oh, I'm not gonna ban anybody, damn, y'all crazy, blah, 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 like, oh, that's, and just laughing about it. Like, you letting dox me in your chat, all types of weird, because you were so happy to get viewers. After I said,
damn,
with this again, bro. That's some fake, phony.
Not gonna lie, that is kind of fake. That's not gonna lie, that he was kind of a dickhead.
Your chat, you let
like he rated him, and then the fans are like making fun of him, bro. Like what?
Showing a house on the internet is not considered doxing. Period. So I said, man, f this.
Damn.
Unfollowed him on every last platform.
They got him.
And I said I would never do a raid again. Yeah, that's why I don't with fake ass. If put it like that, if somebody had a bunch of hating ass from their chat and they raided me and they came in here talking about that individual that gave the raid, I would have banned every last person out of my. Me and my mods would have cooked every
I don't ban
last person.
people, but still.
I don't give a about the viewership or any of that type of. But for us to have been quote unquote cool, and I shot you a raid, and you sat there and just let a cesspool of trolls and weirdos dox me in your chat and everything like that,
kind of fucked up.
That the same happened with F-Champ. But I was never cool with F-Champ on that type
Bro, he
of
should
level,
raid
so
me.
that
I would
mean
fucking
anything to me. But he also let all that fly in his chat. So I said, look, I'm never raiding no FGC again. Matter of fact, I'm never raiding nobody again in general. Me and my chat, we already said, me and all my mods said, we're not doing no more raids on the platform. So after that, I was like, man, I can't no fake ass like that, because if the tables were turned and people came into my from that chat talking about that
daily on my chat,
that particular streamer, I would have banned every last person that came in my chat talking. But just to be sitting there laughing like, oh, I'm not gonna ban anybody because like I don't really know the context. On top of that, and then was siding with the weirdos in the chat too. That's the funny
to be
thing.
fair though, you can't really expect them to like know the whole context.
With everything LTG is done, like, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you already hated when you did that show years ago, right? You chose the only black, one of the most marquee black house to disrupt the whole show up. That's cool. I was still solid after that because I understand business is business. But for me to shoot the host and you just let a whole hornet's nest full of weirdos dox and say you didn't ban not one soul because you was just happy for the viewers, I can't put a nigga like that. I don't respect like that. Nothing. I have zero respect for that dude, hands down, period. Because I'm built differently.
Oh, the Dick Daily in my chat. Your job is to sit there in my chat and
ban every last weirdo that came into my chat talking about a streamer that sent me the raid. That's what I'm saying. I don't exactly. The FGC is fake, bro.
What's wrong
but
with
always
this, man?
been my own type. Never wanted to be a part of no it crowd or be cool and like I don't give a.
I was never cool. I'm my
own person.
I'm me.
But for those that ask the question, why you didn't ask my stream? Because I just don't. It's just that simple. You guys know how I feel about rogs too.
Rogs.
So
can I start saying rogs too? You know how I feel about rogs.
Like once a rog on top of that,
roggers.
Rog, hell, you ask me so many questions.
There's a bunch of roggers in my
chat. Rog be on some weird shit that I've had conversations with. It's cool.
Oh, yo, low tier god's funny.
For me and ban your chat because you wanted the viewership. All right, you can have the viewership for the night. Fuck you, non-respectfully. But yeah, that's it. That's basically all it was.
Dude, this guy like stopped playing. Like you saw me play. It took like what 10 minutes to do this. Like less than a minute to do. This man's like spending a entire thing, and I'm even watching the video while doing it. I'm watching a whole ass video on this man's turn.
Shit like that, and I thought it's cool. That's why I don't trust black niggas, bro. That's why I don't trust rogs. For that simple fact.
Yeah, why does he keep saying N-word when he says the N-word anyways?
Over in life. There's never been a white guy to over in life. There's never
bro,
been
shut the fuck up.
Over in life. That's what I'm saying, man.
There's never like Asians just are just like programmatically groomed to not fuck people over, I guess.
Or China or something. But it's always a rog. I got plenty of rog stories. I promise you, I got plenty of rog stories over and over and
Don't
over
destroy
and
my
over
Mech
and
Lord
over
Army
again.
skill,
Me
please.
Over since adolescent years, single digits all the way to adulthood. That's it though.
Do it, bitch. I'm gonna summon another one. Oh shit. That was a good video. Second isn't FGC. Give me a second. I only know about TCG. No, I play SGC. Alright. Now it's time to Synchro Absorb. Synchro Absorption. Bitch. Don't activate shit. I'll fucking Ash Blossom your ass. No, fuck you. I'm gonna negate your negate. Yeah, do it. Okay, then I can activate Ash Blossom, you know? Bro, let me activate Ash Blossom, please. It's here when the cards. No. Cool, I guess. Bitch. Whatever, I'm just gonna do this. No, fuck you now. I don't like. Shit. I think this activates its effect. Yeah, whatever. I can't activate it because it's negated. But I can do this. Shit. I need both of them. Fuck, whatever. Synchro absorption. Haha. Now allowing me to get one card from my deck to the. Now I'm gonna summon Mechlord, Emperor Grano, Synchro Absorption. Synchro Absorption. Dude, like, I just need, like, what? One more Mox from me? Thank you. Gimme. Gimme, gimme. Chicken tendies. Be they sweet. Or from Wendy's. Or my hard-earned good boy points. Damn. Alright, buddy. Once per turn, you can target one secret monster. Equip that card equals a half. Sits here. Oh shit, that's cool actually. I can special summon it. Kinda don't want to though. But I might need to. Mine's now, bitch. Alright, let me find a video. Let's hear about the Rogs. Code for the N-word, I guess. Beast.
That's what I'm saying. I just can't stand.
I won my first duel, guys. I did it.
All these corny ass on the mic and all that type of shit. Like, you should have just let Ultra David or some OGs do it. Snatching trophies from the winners and all types of shit. Like, what type of raw game is that?
Let me guess. There was somebody, the dudes that was doing the announcing. Was it Americans or something like that? Because that's the only explanation as to why the f he'll be hating so hard.
He snatched the trophy, snatched the mic from him. Yeah, he snatched the trophy.
Heard by Rob TV. There you go, bro. I told you, man. I knew it. I knew that it was somebody American. Of course he's gonna be hating because Rob TV was literally in Hollywood. He was literally, I think he was doing like a gig for like the red carpet or something. Of course, Dale's gonna be hating, bro.
Why did he leave the trophy? Because a Rog snatched it.
Because a Rog snatched.
Remember why I just unfollowed that and everything. How many of you guys remember and just have that all together? Who here remembers that night?
Bro, imagine talking about unfollowing another man. Imagine that.
142. Hey, salute, yo, Kami. Shout out for the raid, bro. Thank you. Big salute. Who here remembers that? Exactly.
I always want a vampire deck.
One of the reasons I stopped doing raids. Because it was this one time. When was that? Wait, it wasn't last year. Was it 2022? I can't remember. Somebody schooled me. You said it was 9 months ago. You sure that it was 2023? Okay. So some of you guys in the chat remember, but one time I gave this a host when I got on stream. And so I don't remember how many views he had, but it was just like whatever viewers.
I really want that card.
A host or a raid. It was last summer or some shit like that.
I want the I want the special edition one though.
All the weirdos that watch my stream, they always, if I raid anybody, they'll go into that person's stream and just be saying, and they be.
I think I heard
you
this.
Trevor, you dox June, you dox Vald.
And you just
all you do is dox people, bro.
Hornet's nest full of weirdos. Doc sensation, you didn't ban not one soul.
Crimson Dragon.
I can't with a nigga like that. I don't respect a nigga like that. Nothing. I have zero respect for that dude, hands down. Period. Because I'm built differently.
Cosmic Quasar Dragon.
I would have banned every last weirdo.
That's cool.
In my chat talking about a streamer that sent me the raid. That's what I'm saying. I don't exactly. The FGC is fake, bro. But always been my own type of. I never wanted to be a part of no it crowd or be cool and like. I'm me. I'm my own person. The balloon react? Nah, not shit. I didn't start it yet. But for those that have the question, why I kept muting that on my stream? Because I just don't with them. It's just that simple. You guys know how I feel about rogues too. So I don't with the shit. Like once a rogue on top of that. Once a rogue, you asking silly questions, man. Of course. Once a rogue be on some weird that I've had conversations with was cool and all that type of shit, you couldn't do that for me and ban niggas out of your chat because you wanted the viewership. All right, man. You can have the viewership for the night, but you non-respectfully. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's basically all it was. Sent them a host and allowed trolls to hornet's nest and didn't ban nobody. Was laughing about this. Then started siding with the in there, trying to be biased, agreeing with niggas in the chat, all that type of shit.
Oh.
We had actual conversations and shit like that, and I thought it was cool. That's why I don't trust black, bro. That's why I don't trust rogues. For that simple fact. There's never been a Spanish.
I really wanted their Ash Blossom.
There's never been a white guy to fuck me over in life. There's never been an Asian guy to fuck me over.
What if they're scared of getting canceled?
Always a rogue. I got plenty of rogue stories.
Oh, Effect Feeler.
I promise you, I got plenty of rogue stories over and over and over and over and over again that have fucked me over since adolescent years, single digits all the way to adulthood.
What the hell? This is a good card.
What did he say? What did he say? Hold on a second.
Yo,
what the fuck? I want this card. That's a good card.
What did he say, bro?
I'm pretty sure.
He's mad because he's left out of the loop. That's the reason why. That's the reason why he's mad. He's mad because he can't go to Evo. So he needs to cope. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs to talk. He needs to cope. He needs to make himself feel better. Just because he's banned from a couple venues. That's the reason why.
Because I already expect you to be grimy anyway. So when you just be grimy, I'm just like, yeah, there ain't no coming back. The f is a rogue. The chat'll school you. And most of our people backstabbers. Yeah, look what happened at the Cam Newton camp. Speaking of backstabbers, look what happened at the Cam Newton camp. Who was jumping Cam Newton? A crew of rogues. Now they attempted to jump Cam Newton, but the niggas.
Like, is there a rivalry between like light skinned dudes and like black skinned dudes, man?
Yeah, there is.
Is there like a rivalry?
They hate.
I don't know if anybody else seen that. I'm gonna donate $1 to say something. Now you're banned and I took your money. non-refundable. I'm always gonna speak on FGC. I speak on everything. I speak on media. I speak on FG Corny. I speak on whatever the fuck I want. That's what my stream is now. Whatever streaming. What do you call it again? I'm a variety streamer.
You eclipsed the FGC, right? But then you was presenting an award.
God damn, 20,000 bit rate.
Absolute sense.
Because you'll be the same bum ass coming in here when Ed releases to see how I'm gonna.
God damn it, dude, just keeps dropping.
Wait, my bad. You got banned already. Am I talking to an NPC? Devontae McLean, shut up for the 6 months. Thank you.
I didn't make a Twitter now, bro. I don't Twitter like that.
If I ever be invited, I don't give a fuck about being invited to an FG Corny event.
This song is perfect, bro. Because this song really captures his.
The term FGC is corny as these days. It don't mean anything it used to mean.
Depressive state.
Around it. Now it's just like a bunch of fake production. You know what I'm saying? Grabbing trophies from the winner that won $1 million. FGC has no more characters left. It's all like, and the FGC to me is only Capcom. I would not consider Smash and Tekken and any of those other games, MK or anything FGC. To me, FG Corny is Capcom only. Yeah, Tekken to me is not FGC. It has to be a Capcom game to be FG Corny. Personalities don't exist in the FG Corny anymore. Yeah, it's like, well, they tried to make it way too corporate. That new, the new, what's it called? X20 or Project L? What is that called? I wouldn't consider Tekken FGC because you're gridlocking the game. Tekken likes to do their own thing. While it might be at a FGC event, I wouldn't consider it to just be FGC. When I think FGC to me has always been Street Fighter. Even in the Street Fighter 4 days. When you mention the FGC Street Fighter, when you mention the FGC in the Street Fighter 4 days, it was like Street Fighter Aura only. It wasn't Tekken or anything like that. All the lit back then was all Capcom. Yeah, it was Marvel, it was Street Fighter, things like that. It was never Tekken or like you didn't get the same shine if you were a Tekken or NRS player back then. Nobody gave a about that. FGC has always been around and wrapped around Capcom games. Every other game has their own community.
Yo, so let me get this straight. So you don't with the FGC anymore, right? You've eclipsed the FGC, but you're trying your hardest to get unbanned from Capcom and Evo and all the other FGC venues. Like make it make sense, bro. Like you don't give a about the FGC, but you definitely going out of your way to literally be unbanned, bro.
And communities that have their own.
Make it make sense, man.
Is so different. It doesn't need to be a part of FG Corny. It's a Capcom thing only. Like and another thing too, I just hate Capcom commentary because, like I said, unrealistic commentary is when you're not allowed to be edgy at all.
That is true.
That's just lame as like I said, commentary in any other platform, in any real sport, right? There's always somebody who's against the grain when it comes to commentary, but with a mixture of congratulations on whoever they're talking about. But they brought in every single thing or saying, oh no! Like the fact that you're not allowed to say, oh, this person, like, I don't think.
God damn it! I can't activate. Wait, why can't I do shit?
Something you can throw a stick. You know, you can
it's so dumb, dude. I fucking hate these stupid lock cards.
It would just be fire if you could just like be a real person instead of just saying, "Oh, he hit someone."
Nah, he's speaking facts. Not gonna lie.
Oh my god, the shimmy! Oh.
Well, he's kicking him in the.
And you know what's funny?
Yeah, this rant is like the equivalent of a motherfucker that can't get in the club. You guys notice that? I don't know if you guys are club goers, but. Like, this is literally the equivalent to that. This motherfucker is hurting so bad because he can't get in VIP in the club, bro.
He almost cracked and said something about, like, every time that
thanks for the 3 cheese.
The players get Idon down, he pops V-trigger and
Nah, he's kind of right, though. The FGC kind of sucks nowadays.
myself because it was disgusting to watch. Like, you will watch somebody get bodied and then just pop trigger and rob a good player back to back to back to back to back. You can't watch that and not want to say something negative. The fact that you have to be a commentator, watch that and figure out a way to up it and big up it and congratulate it is disgusting to me. It's not realistic. But yeah, I only consider Capcom the FG corny. But like I said, there's styles for everybody. The he was able to do in 5, clearly it doesn't work in 6. There's no V trigger to come back, all that type of shit. So it's a different game. I feel like Street Fighter 6 would be an Asian-dominated game, like Street Fighter 4 was. Street Fighter 5, Americans had their shine because you had something called V-Trigger, where you could figure out how to rob your opponent crazy. There is no V-Trigger in Street Fighter 6.
It's Monday, February 26, 2024. Please like.
Disney World is too expensive.
I started programming like as a way to not be homeless. It was between programming, video editing, and psychology. Just went programming because it's easier to learn online.
How'd you learn online?
Harvard puts their computer science courses online. You don't need to go to Harvard. You can just like look at the Harvard class online. It's crazy.
Yeah. YouTube's like the best. Dude, you can go on there and there's like 100-part series of just this random guy in India doing a full course on Java or C#, Python. And it's all good stuff, the same stuff you learn in college.
You actually end up getting a job in that after high school?
Yeah, I worked for the government of Hawaii.
Do they not check that like you went through like a program or anything?
They do care a lot less now because they know that you can just learn online. There's like a lot of people at like SpaceX and Tesla, especially the FAANG companies don't give a shit if you've been to college for programming. They just want to know what you can do and like see your portfolio, but like it doesn't matter how you know how to do it, you just know how to do it.
Oh wow, nice car, guys. Yeah. Do you guys want me to take a photo for you? Okay. Nice. Okay. Here you go.
Yo, so just let me in for like 1 minute, 2 minutes. Fuck are you? Yo, get the fuck out of my car. It's okay, just 1 minute. Fuck, get the fuck out of my car. It's so fat.
Oh wow, nice car, guys. Yeah. Do you guys want me to take a photo for you? Okay.
Scrub Daddy was the most successful Shark Tank company in history, and you won't believe where the founder is now. See, in the 2012 season of the famous TV show, Aaron Krause shocked the sharks with his innovative smiley sponge. The product was made out of a polymer which became soft in hot water and hard in cold water, and this made it super useful in everyday dishwashing. The shark, Lori Greiner, was sold on the spot and decided to invest $200,000 in return for 20% of the Scrub Daddy company. The day after Scrub Daddy had aired on TV, the company sold out a crazy 42,000 sponges in a mere 7 minutes. Since the innovative sponge appeared on Shark Tank 10 years ago, the hype hasn't died down. Scrub Daddy now does annual sales of $80 million. They have even built a huge 100,000 square feet facility in New Jersey for their new headquarters. Their inventor Aaron Krause now has an estimated net worth of $100 million, while his company is worth a staggering $300 million. Scrub Daddy was the most successful Shark Tank company in history, and you won't believe where the founder is now. See, in the 2012 season of the famous TV show, Aaron Krause shocked the sharks with his innovative smiley sponge. The product was made out of a polymer which became soft in hot water and hard in cold water, and this made it super useful in everyday dishwashing. The shark, Lori Greiner, was sold on the spot and decided to invest $200,000 in return for 20% of the Scrub Daddy company. The day after Scrub Daddy had aired on TV,
did I make a mistake? Probably did. Shit. I'm an idiot.
The hype hasn't died down. Scrub Daddy now does annual sales $1 million. They have even built a huge 100,000 square feet facility in New Jersey for their new headquarters. Their inventor Aaron Krause now has an estimated net worth of $100 million, while his company is worth a staggering $300 million. Scrub Daddy was the most successful Shark Tank company in history, and you won't believe where the founder is now. See, in the 2012 season of the famous TV show, Aaron Krause shocked the sharks with his innovative smiley sponge. The product was made out of a polymer which became soft in hot water and hard in cold water, and this made it super useful in everyday dishwashing. The shark, Lori Greiner, was sold on the spot and decided to invest $200,000 in return for 20% of the Scrub Daddy company. The day after Scrub Daddy had aired on TV, the company sold out a crazy 42,000 sponges in a mere 7 minutes. Since the innovative sponge appeared on Shark Tank 10 years ago, the hype hasn't died down. Scrub Daddy now does annual sales of $80 million. They have even built a huge 100,000 square feet facility in New Jersey for their new headquarters. Their inventor Aaron
I got the wrong card. I'm an idiot.
$100 million, while his company is worth a staggering $300 million. Scrub Daddy was the most successful Shark Tank company in history, and you won't believe.
Why do I keep watching this?
See.
Just leave it. It's okay. Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it in for you. What? You don't remember me? I'm at Shirley's Tavern doing shots? Sorry, not really, no. You wanted to talk to the girl by the pool table and her friend wouldn't leave, so you asked me to wingman for you? That doesn't ring a bell. Real beast. Wide as she was tall. Gross lady. I don't know. Oh, that's funny, because I chatted with her all night. Even bought her a couple plates of wings to occupy her while you did your thing. Still not ringing any bells? Real monster of a woman. Thanks for doing that, I guess. Once you finished the wings, you still hadn't closed the deal, so I started pouring it on real thick. Told her I never met anyone like her. Eventually ended up going back to her place, hit it a couple times, once again in the morning, then we went for wings again. Sounds like a crazy night. Saw her a couple more times after that, too, and that's when the pregnancy happened. Jogging your memory yet? I mean, I don't know how I could even have known that. And something kind of funny happened. After getting evicted from her mobile home, her even larger mother has decided to move into the pull-out couch in the walkway of the one-bedroom apartment we live in. Okay, well, it was good seeing you, Muhammad. Muhammad's actually in the trunk of his car right now, because where I come from, we repay our debts. I took down a beast for you, and now it's your turn to wingman for me. Look, I just asked you to talk to her. That was it. So now you do remember. Well, here's how it's going to shake down, muchacho. Her mom's going to be laying on the now-dented couch. You're gonna come in with a bag of Marlboro. Wait, you want me to wingman for your chick's gross mom? So it's okay to ask other people to do it, but Prince Charming doesn't want to get his hands dirty, eh? Fine when other people play in the mud as long as you don't have to see the pigs. Hello? Oh, okay. Yeah, will do. Mom just passed away. Choked on a chicken wing. Sorry for your loss. But I'll be back because we're not even close to even. I'll be taking out. You guys can't pick up food on the way home.
Hey, I'm Mac, welcome back to my channel. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you might have noticed a distinct lack of sponsor segments.
I don't like this guy.
This is not because I do not receive any offers from sponsors. I absolutely could do sponsor segments if I wanted to. There are several broad reasons why I do not. Number one, from my personal perspective as a viewer, I find sponsor segments incredibly irritating. I don't think this is controversial or a hot take. They're annoying, they're so awkward, they break the flow of the video, no matter how smooth the adoring, inexplicably upvoted top comment gushes the transition was. And they always seem to grow longer and longer over time. And that's just my personal opinion, okay? Number two, even if it really doesn't break the flow of that video, is that actually a better outcome? I thought that advertising was supposed to be clearly demarcated.
Oh, this is a good video.
This is the most obnoxious live streamer, and he's currently in some serious legal trouble. So much so that it can change his life the way he knows it. And it seems like this is going to be a massive wake-up call for this guy, because if you want to know how bad the IRL live streaming landscape has become, you don't have to look further than Jack Doherty. Jack is now considered one of the largest streamers on Kick, despite plenty of botting allegations. He's built this cult-like audience off of harassing people in public, constant OF women plastered all over the stream, and essentially anyone that he can bring on for clout. His audience have this weird relationship with him because so many people hate watch him. And this is likely because he's probably one of the worst offenders of main character syndrome when he uses random people without their consent for his own content. And this can range from egging them on before hiding behind a security guard when they react, to hiring a security guard to straight up knock people out during his streams. And that latter part just got him sued, as he proudly distributed that clip all over the internet just for a little bit more attention. But he wasn't always like this. He started essentially stalking popular creators on YouTube, with one of his first popular videos being going to the FaZe house I saw FaZe rain. Here you can see this innocent kid trying to make content on YouTube in the worst way possible.
I just want to say thank you guys so much for 400 subscribers. It really means a lot that you guys are watching.
400 subscribers.
And I guess in his pursuit of making interesting content,
Hey guys, I visited FaZe.
Parents to drive him to the FaZe house, which is terrible parenting. Don't ever do that.
Yeah, why would you do that?
No matter what. If you want to meet a creator, go to an event they publicly announce they're going to, or be lucky enough to meet them in public. Please don't stalk them, and especially do not show up uninvited to a streamer or creator's house to make content. And here, Jack's a child, so I completely blame the parents for this. But we're also about to find out that Jack just completely walks all over his parents. But I was shocked his parents let them do this to begin with.
Oh my god. Oh, they have a doorbell. Oh my god, dude.
So when they don't answer for obvious reasons, they stay lingering.
I'm here. My mom's gonna be pissed. Holy crap, I really want them to come out. Why are the lights being on? They're obviously home. I want them to come out so freaking badly.
But it just continues. They don't give up for some reason. They've been there for probably 30 minutes to an hour at this point.
Yeah, we need them to come out. Yo, G Fuel man. No, he can't be making video. No, we're here. He's not making video.
Well, I guess his entitlement's been there since he started making videos. But then Rain eventually comes home.
Rain! Holy crap! Holy crap! Face Rain! Oh my god! Face Rain! Face
Just
Rain!
a bunch of kids, not my kids,
Face Rain! Yeah,
just leaves.
Holy crap! No! Face Rain! You're leaving us!
Just leaves.
No! Rain!
Hey.
He's turning around. Mom, he's coming. He's coming back. He's coming back. Okay. Okay, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back. That's them?
His mom is blocking their driveway. He can't get into his own
Bruh,
house.
that's so
What a literal
fucked.
nightmare. But anyway, eventually the mom moves and lets Rain into the garage. Rain then shut the garage as quickly as possible, and then Jack just continues to stand outside with his friend and bang on the garage door and the front door without anyone showing up. Naturally, they don't want to interact with someone who randomly shows up uninvited. Like, it just doesn't make sense. But I guess the wildest part of this is he just goes home after, I guess, doxing them, even though their address was semi-public, because they just weren't careful about showing where they live. Because, I mean, the original Phase House, that was a big live and learn for a lot of creators because they just were not careful about hiding where they lived. But I'm also surprised his parents didn't think it was a bad idea to, let alone drive him to a random creator's house to essentially just harass them for YouTube content. But also, they probably saw the video and they just let him post this video to the internet. But this video got some views because it was the Phase House, but he later on pivots to making insufferable pranks. The kind where you just harass random people and retail workers for content. And by consistently posting these on YouTube, he created a pretty sizable career. His parents then invested that money into real estate for him, and this made them a little bit more supportive of his content. Because, I mean, he was essentially providing liquidity for the family's real estate investments. This becomes extremely apparent when he goes on to Dr. Phil, where they then bring up the fact that he stole his older brother's car for a YouTube prank.
In the moment, it was not that funny.
That was your new car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Daddy bought it.
Yeah, and also I thought he was gonna crash it or something, and also I think he was just trying.
If I crash the car, I would buy a new one. Let's be real.
It's moments like this where you realize acquiring money at a young age can completely fry your brain. He clearly doesn't care about his brother's feelings nor things because he thinks he can just buy himself out of whatever problem he creates. The YouTuber Jabroni actually made a wonderful video where he showcases many of the moments Jack has just completely bailed himself out of his problems with money. And I'll link that video in the description down below. But he ended up getting kicked off Dr. Phil for talking over the guy. He went home and then continued making insufferable pranks, like throwing paint on the Walmart floor.
Paint smashing about to go down in Walmart right
Oh
now.
my god, this is so stupid. Why would you do that? This is so retarded, dude. That's not even funny. Yeah, it's so fucking stupid.
But he likely got a Walmart employee fired because of his antics in Walmart.
Give me my camera back. Okay, don't go. Stop camera. Huh? I will be the otherwise I will call police. If I were police.
I would have fucking took his camera, not gonna lie.
I was not recording.
Yeah, if a creator ever comes, just fucking smash their camera, dude.
Give me my camera.
Somebody ever harasses you, you don't attack them. You fucking you shoot the fucking camera, dude.
There were actually repercussions for his actions, so in the future, I guess he learned from this and hired bodyguards so he can keep harassing people and avoid being confronted. I don't know what actually happens to this Walmart employee, but Jack did go on to dox the guy and harass him simply because the Walmart employee didn't want to clean up whatever aftermath Jack's content created. And while that content was making Jack some solid money, nothing comes close to this money glitch that he found, because a couple of years ago, he started blowing up off of YouTube Shorts content. And since he had a lot of people watching him, he came to the conclusion that mixing a highly profitable and addictive site like OF in combination of millions of young people seeing his content, that is an absolute money glitch. And this is where his account started getting absolutely littered with content which directly promotes OF accounts.
Don't talk into the mic and I'll buy you whatever you want. Do you understand the rules of the game? Can you just tell me your name before we get started? Just one time? All right, then I'm leaving. Just kidding, you win.
Yay!
All right, what do you want?
I want to go to Soma.
Soma these nuts in your mouth?
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. What's Soma?
Here.
All right, let's go. So can I get a free sub to your OF?
Yeah, I mean, they're not even hiding what they're doing here. And this got millions of views. And when I originally saw this a little bit over a year ago, I was just assuming they were paying him to promote them. But apparently this guy actually signs these women and promotes their OFs. And I guess this is how he can afford his new insane lifestyle, which includes his security guards who Jack has used as pawns for his content.
Go. Where we at? What? What you gotta do?
I love how he's given the Randall from Recess hiding behind the teacher vibe. The same stance and everything, down to the T. What a guy. But eventually, he flew way too close to the sun, where this unfortunately happened in one of his streams. Obviously, I cannot show the full clip here, but here's the before.
What are you talking to, dog? I'm just saying, y'all say just stop.
And the after.
No, stop.
So what you guys missed out on was a full-on sucker punch. The dude landed flat on his back and definitely hit his head. That is an extremely dangerous fall, and he is super lucky he wasn't turned into a vegetable, because hits like that can easily change the trajectory of your life.
Stop.
So what you guys missed out on was
I'm just saying, y'all say just stop.
and the after.
No, stop.
So what you guys missed out on was a full-on sucker punch. The dude landed flat on his back and definitely hit his head. That is an extremely dangerous fall, and he is super lucky he wasn't turned into a vegetable, because hits like that can easily change the trajectory of your life. And as if things couldn't have gotten even more disgusting, Jack then proudly posts this on his Twitter account to gain more attention. But thankfully, he was sued for it, and this is apparently for assault, battery, negligence, negligent hiring, retention/supervision/training, aiding and abetting, and finally, intentional infliction of emotional distress. So here we have the guy who was punched in the face named Chase, who is now suing them. So here we have the general allegations. On October 28th in 2023, plaintiff, who is Chase, was attending a Halloween party. At approximately 12:30 a.m. in the morning of October 29th, plaintiff was on the street outside of the subject's premises and was talking to Doherty and Gosley. Gosley is the security guard who sucker punched him in the face. At one point in the conversation, Gosley asked Doherty, "What are we doing?" And Doherty said, "We're gonna fight them. Us two versus you. All right, go." And gestured that he and Gosley were gonna fight plaintiff and plaintiff's friend. Moments later, Gosley violently punched plaintiff in the face, sending him falling to the ground and causing serious physical injuries to his head, face, and neck. The amount of controversy is greater than $75,000. Plaintiff did not consent to Gosley's conduct. Doherty live streamed the assault on plaintiff on the live streaming platform Kick, and in the hours and days that followed, posted videos of the assault to his YouTube, X.com, and Twitter channels, where he has a combined of 22.8 million followers. Doherty has and continues to generate income due to the many views the video has received, all to plaintiff's detriment. Doherty has a history both before and after the subject's incident of filming himself harassing, assaulting, and antagonizing members of the public by having his security guards step in to intimidate and assault them if they react to Doherty's harassment. The following links show various altercations caused by Doherty. So here's the first 10-second clip the lawsuit shows.
You were the one that came up to me first.
No, you're the clown. You didn't have to say anything. That came in. I don't want to be physical.
Okay, well, keep your hands down.
Go to your room. I'll sit there.
And then here's the second one right here.
Get that out of my face.
Or
out of my face.
Or what? Okay.
So clearly there's a pattern here. Gosley has a long history of assault and battery. This is the bodyguard here. Assault and battery in Broward County, 2 instances of assault and battery while working as a security guard for DaBaby. Here's some of the headlines of those articles. Doherty was aware of Gosley's prior assault and battery while working for DaBaby, and ratified Gosley's assault and battery of a plaintiff by paying him $5,000. The following link depicts the above.
He's the baby security guard. Yeah, he used to knew who he was.
My dog.
You met him before, Kane?
Yeah, but I don't like to see Kane get in that mode, cause bro, Kane, when he in that mode,
Can't talk to Kane wrong.
No, bro, listen. But you put him in that position. So when the baby them hit me up and I'm like, yo, what's up with this kid? Bro, you got Kane knocking people out. We want to protect Kane. That's a part of game. You got to take care of your people.
I did it. I sent them like 5 bands that day and then said you can go home and
no,
do
but
whatever.
listen, it's not about the money.
But it was to him. That's what he said.
No.
Made it right with him.
It ain't about the money, bro. This guy makes a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to teach you.
That is so wild. His security guard just sucked, and instead of firing the guy, Jack's like, "Here's $5,000. Have the day off. You did a great job, man." Bro. But they then make their case, which I'm not gonna read 10 pages of legal documents here. So essentially what they want from this lawsuit is in the prayer for relief, where it says, "Wherefore plaintiff prays judgment against all defendants as follows. 1, for general damages and some according to proof of time of trial. 2, for special damages and according to proof of time of trial. 3, punitive damages. 4, for judgment interest according to proof. 5, for cost of suit incurred herein according to proof. 6, for such other and further relief as court may deem just and proper." Insane. Okay, this is definitely gonna get really expensive for Jack, and if they prove this in court, next up would probably be criminal charges. Then on top of that, if this guy wins his lawsuit against Jack, that could easily inspire others to follow suit. I mean, it's just laughably stupid that Jack willingly bragged about this event happening just to promote himself when this could very well ruin his life as he knows it. But I mean, hey, it could be a whole lot worse, because I guess you could be like this girl who is doing the exact same job as him, who's currently facing life in prison. And that's just a beyond insane story as well. So you can check that out here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
What's it, just field nuke? $170 TikToks are stuck based. Oh boy.
So much has happened since we last covered the TikTok cruise because the ship has completely rerouted. There's been multiple people being evacuated off the ship. There's been multiple fights and someone passed away. So it's now been a couple months since hundreds of TikTokers decided to take a 9-month worldwide cruise, which ranged from like $60,000 to $120,000 per cabin. So I guess it's safe to say that you're going to get an interesting group of people when they all have an extra 60 to 120 grand to blow on a cruise, and they're all stuck together and they regularly post on TikTok for 9 months straight. Well, that is one group of people because there's now been created massive flooding and the fact they had to skip multiple stops in a row, leaving guests essentially trapped on board. And in today's video, we're covering how things have just gotten so much worse, as you can tell by the title of today's video. But a lot of people on this boat are putting out a lot of information about themselves and the cruise online. And that's fine when it's consensual, but a lot of times your information lands all over the internet without you even realizing it. But how do you reduce the amount of information about you on the internet? Well, you need to combat data brokers, because we've all signed up for something with our number, then suddenly you're being spammed by all sorts of telemarketers and scammers. Because data brokers take your information from various sites and they sell them to the highest bidder. The only problem is there's just way too many of those sites, and you're gonna have to email every single one a takedown request for your information. And before you know it, you're gonna be spending more time doing this than your full-time job. But that's where today's sponsor, Incogni, can help, because they manage all of that for you, and they scan the internet for your information and automatically send out takedown requests. And they'll keep checking to make sure that you don't get put back into the system. I've been using Incogni for about 5 months now, and it's already had 138 data collectors take my information down. And I can also see on my dashboard here, it's also saved me over 103 hours of my time if I wanted to manually process all those requests. So I'm just super happy there's a solution to this massive problem. But if you're dealing with these same issues, you can use my code ATOZI for 60% off your first year. For me, the service has already been a massive win because the spam calls just completely vanished. I used to get multiple spam calls a day, and that's sadly just the tip of the iceberg for what data collectors collect. The crazier stuff is your shopping habits, address, social security number, and employment history. So I'm grateful Incogni wanted to support the channel and allow me to promote a product I actually use myself. But if you think Incogni can help, you can go to incogni.com/ATOZI by clicking the link right on the top of the description down below. But without further ado, let's continue the video. So we left off my last video with the flooding and the canceled stops. Well, Little Rat Brain reports there's been more stops canceled.
Do you want the true drama of the 9-month cruise? It's the fact that every single tendrilled port so far has been canceled last minute. So in the Falkland Islands, there was already a 40% chance that we couldn't go, since a couple of days ago there were 45-foot waves. Just this morning, we got the announcement that due to wind conditions, we will not be going.
But speaking of canceled, there were apparently a bunch of rumors on board that the entire cruise would be canceled early, due to another cruise called Silver Sea ending their cruise. This lady who's also on the ship made a video where she believes the whole cruise will be canceled in LA because of the conflict going on in the Middle East. Because apparently the cruise was originally set to go straight through the Suez Canal. But as of right now, the cruise being canceled, that's just rumors and speculations. But as the cruise is continuing, even more stops are being canceled, like Ecuador.
But we've also received communications that we would not be visiting.
God damn it.
So what has happened there? Basically, on January 7th, a notorious gang leader has escaped from prison, and this is his second time doing so in a decade. On January 8th, the current president declared a state of emergency that will last 60 days.
He has a lisp.
On January 9th, 12 armed individuals stormed a on-air news
He
station
sounds dumb.
with explosives. They were arrested, and on the same day the president then declared
Welcome to TikTok, guys.
the 20 of the different gangs are now terrorist groups after various attacks, including abduction of police officers, attempted murder on the lead prosecutor, and explosions near the house of the president of the National Justice Court.
What are the odds? You have so many stops that were just canceled because of bad weather, but when the weather is finally good, a gang leader escapes from prison. Clearly, the cruisers can't catch a break here, and their luck is really not about to change. Because to make things worse, fights are now breaking out on their cruise as well. And the first fight was between 4 people before it was broken up. They were all women, and it was a 3 versus 1. But the only
my
problem
connection was
was,
stable.
when the fight was broken up, allegedly the 3 women realized
What
they
the
jumped
fuck,
the wrong
dude?
person. How that happens, I don't know, but that was definitely not the only altercation on this cruise because the mess is only getting started. Because to add to that, a bunch of cruisers ended up in the hospital in Peru. And to make things worse for them again,
Whatever.
they had to cancel Machu Picchu because of some protests, so they couldn't even get there. Then to make things even worse for the cruisers, a bunch of these cruisers might actually get kicked off the cruise if they don't get their visas fixed for New Zealand.
So a few of the guests have just received a notice through their door directly from Royal Caribbean, and it says this: our records show you are holding a passport that requires a valid visa for New Zealand. It says, to expedite our clearance procedure, please forward your valid visa. You need to provide this no later than Friday.
All these TikTokers make me hurt my head, dude.
2024, which is tomorrow. And then it says immigration in New Zealand does not allow any guests to remain.
Okay, I'm gonna skip this.
Just extremely poor on this cruise. Like, if people are suddenly panicked, the messaging must have been terrible. But remember Mark from my last video? Well, he's now off the ship, and he made a
Another
claim that
idiot.
the staff is underpaid. And then an ex-crew member decided to dispute that.
Oh, 100%. I don't even need to look into it to know that these people are being underpaid.
Nothing frustrates me more than this. So this person has been put on the Royal Caribbean cruise, which is the world cruise going on for 9 months. He's been put on for what?
Again?
18 days. Looking for the drama, for the tea of cruising and living on a ship. Mind you, I've been doing...
Hold up. Yeah, it's not good. I don't know why today was a day. There we go, we're kind of back. Okay.
Doing it for the last 12 years of my life. There's no drama or tea on a ship, but he's been put there to get drama and tea. And nothing frustrates me more is when someone gets on, knows nothing about the cruise industry, and then starts talking about how my former colleagues don't make money. Myth that they don't make a living wage. But of course, he's put on this cruise ship to create drama and tea, all for likes and for following. Crew members work hard. Yes, they work very hard. They're away from their families for a long amount of time. Yes, I know. The longest I was away from my family was 11 months. Is there a thing such as currency conversion? Yes, they're paid in US dollars. You hear me? US dollars. Hence the reason there are not a lot of Americans on board, because we don't get currency conversion. And we pay taxes and we pay healthcare. Some of these countries you have to pay no taxes. Take for example South Africa. When I was working as an event manager, another person was working as an event manager from South Africa. Let's just say I was making $4,500 per month. Well, he was making $4,500 per month as well, except for my $4,500 was taxed, no currency conversion, and I paid for healthcare. His $4,500 he was not taxed on, and he got to convert that to rand, and at the time it was 16 rand per dollar. Go ahead and look up the conversion rate for $1 for the Indonesian rupee. A month of salary that they're getting here is 3 months of salary back home. So you guys know I never get too upset, and I'm always positive, but this account is really annoying me right now because they're on creating drama out of nothing, talking about stuff that they don't know, all because they're talking about the world cruise that's been going on for forever. People have been doing world cruises and living on cruise ships forever. I was like the OG when it came to living on a cruise ship. Well, a 9-month cruise is way too long. The longest I would do is like a 3 to 4 month world cruise. Anyways, I'm gonna go have dinner now. I'm not gonna let this upset me anymore, but I just hate when new cruisers come on and just make up stories and misinformation. It's really annoying because it's people like me that have to correct this information.
Alright,
Okay, I'll be back. Problems with their statements here. Number one, South Africans have to pay tax. It also seems like if you make your money as a South African outside of South Africa, you still have to report it and pay taxes and pay healthcare. They have healthcare. What is she talking about? Then her entire comment section is loaded with people who work on cruises claiming they only make 20 grand a year in salary. And then she kind of proved her own point by saying there's a very few amount of American workers because they simply just don't pay enough. It also came out that she was an event manager as well, which is likely paid more than a waiter, cleaner, or dishwasher. Because $4,500 a month is good. 20 grand a year? Not so much. So I don't know why she decided to make this video, but Mark did respond to her.
Oh girl, I'm not getting involved in all that. But it seems like after 10 minutes of research that the average yearly salary a Royal Caribbean worker makes is under $25,000. If you think that $25,000 is a livable wage, you're delusional. And allegedly, there's like 100 countries that make up the employees, or that the employees are from on this boat. Not all of them have a great conversion rate.
But remember this lady and her worries about going through the Suez Canal. Well, she has an update about that.
And one of the questions asked is about
I don't want to eat these nuts anymore.
rerouting our ship. And his words were, "We are not going anywhere near the Red Sea." So he says that Royal Caribbean is waiting to make the announcement until the end of segment 2.
Okay, so it seems like the cruise is still on. And speaking of things that are still on, remember the lady who was hiding ducks around? Well, apparently she's on like day 59 of hiding ducks on this cruise.
This is day 59, and we were up for a little more duck hiding today.
So I guess that was the one wholesome update that's still going on day 59. But going back to the absolute show, a segmenter who just left the ship tells her story from experiencing an assault.
And when I say I'm mad, I am pissed off. Because I signed a contract to say that I would not abuse other guests. But yet,
Abuse them.
that you still have a pinnacle person in a suite who physically assaulted another guest, but you're not acting on it. And you say you're not acting on it because it happened ashore, but it happened ashore on a Royal Caribbean excursion, and any other time you would act on it, but because this person is pinnacle and in a suite, you're letting them get away with not only bullying and harassing a family of kids and chasing them around for a whole entire day. And
What
this
the
has been
fuck?
going on not just on that excursion day for weeks, but when someone stood up to him and told him he was being a bully and proceeded to tell him he needed to stop, he then pushed her so much so that she damaged her ankle and sprained it. And you know about all of this.
The weak
because
fears
you
are
were
strong.
Witnesses to it. You've interviewed everyone, and your action to do this is to do nothing.
So I guess this is different from the 3v1 situation we heard about earlier. So apparently people are just getting into fights on the ship, and I guess off the ship as well, then getting back onto the ship like nothing ever happened. Even though they're all confined to this small space for something like 6 more months. Like imagine having to walk around on that cruise for 6 more months, scared of 3 people who randomly attacked you. But as if things couldn't have gotten worse, in a recent sad news, someone just passed away on the cruise ship. Currently, the speculation is it was a heart attack. And this all came from the lady Adita, who we saw earlier, and made a TikTok that's now since been deleted, where she said that she saw someone being transported out of their room on a stretcher. And then to make things even worse, another cruiser was apparently evacuated off the ship by a US Navy helicopter as they were in serious condition and needed medical help ASAP. So while you have all of that going on, you have, I guess, the whole ship trying to figure out, where are we going? Because apparently they're now discussing a new cruise route to avoid the Suez Canal. The cruisers now have to vote
It's
if
like
they want to
fortune
go
ladies.
around
Oh,
the
yeah.
bottom of Africa and essentially stop at a bunch of new ports around Africa, or take a quicker route all the way around Africa and not stop along the way. If they take the first option, they get 25% off. If they go for the second option, they get 50% off. That vote will apparently happen on February 26th. What will happen next, though? Who knows? So stay tuned for the next time we cover the TikTok cruise ship.
Earthbound
Can it really
Immortal
get that much
Oscillabiscu.
I don't know. Hopefully not.
They tried to be the Harpies ladies. I like the chippy ones. Where are those? Oh, here it is. Fortune Fairy Cuddy. Light Fire. Oh, passed. Fortune Lady N. Fortunately, the Earth was one of my favorite ones. Oh, look, it's Carly. This looks like that girl. Looks like the Dark Signer girl. This looks like... Oh, these are so cool. Fortune Fairy. Fortune Fairy. This one's that girl. Time Passage. Ah, that's so cool. Yeah, this deck's Prediction Princess. Earthbound Immortal, fortunately to call it. Does Asilapiscu work? Asilapiscu. These are like Mayan names or some shit like that. Let's see. Found on. Found the motto Asilapiscu. Chachulaha. These are like actually fucking Mayan. You see this wah part? Very chalahwa. Chalhwa. Chachu chala. Chachu chala. I think that's it, so Chachu chala, like awacha. Kakapu. Kakarwa. 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 Kusulu. Uru. Wachu. Wachola raska. Wachola raska. Wachokwa haswa. Wachokwa haswa. I think that's it. Wachokwa haswa. Wachowaska. Yeah, I think that's Wachowaska. Wachoraska. And then this one is Wachowaska. This one's one of the stronger ones though. Oh cool, this is the field spell. Dude, every archetype requires so many URs. Chachuchwala. 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 Chalchalpa. Chapa. Chalchapa. Yeah, I'll be back.